City of Stevens Point Redevelopment Authority meeting, recorded July 31st, 2025.
Alrighty, it's 3 p.m. I'll call the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Stevens Point to order. Director will take the roll.
Chairperson Schleiss.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Gardner.
Here.
Alderperson Kneebone is excused. Commissioner Cooper.
Here.
Commissioner Kemeter.
Here.
Commissioner Laddick.
Here.
Commissioner Barrett is excused.
We have a quorum. Number 2, persons who wish to address the board on a specific agenda item other than a public hearing must register the request at this time. Those who wish to address the board during a public hearing are not required to identify themselves until the public hearing is declared open by the chairperson. And we do have one public hearing today. Number 3, public comment for pre-registered individuals for matters appearing on the agenda.
We have one audience member. I don't think, just here to listen. Perfect.
And I was also going to say, if you're here for the Shopko thing, if whatever you've seen on Channel 7, don't believe, because that was incorrect. There's going to be no plans presented today, and we're not taking any action. It's just an update item, even though they said we're going to be doing all these fine things. And I thought, wow, I can't wait to see.
Thanks for clarifying.
All righty, moving right ahead. Number 1, approval of the minutes from the July 8th, 2025 meeting of the Redevelopment Authority.
Motion for July 8th meeting minute approval.
Motion by Dave, second by Gene. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Adopted. Number 2, public hearing and action on the termination of blighted properties. Parcel numbers as listed. There's a number of parcel numbers, and most won't understand what those are. But they're great when you collect the taxes, because then you know exactly what they are. But I will declare the public hearing open. Director, any comments to our audience?
No comments have come into me. Chris, did any comments come into you?
No comments have been submitted via email or phone before the meeting today.
All righty, the purpose for the audience at home and the general public, the purpose of this public hearing is to review blighted issues on the Shopko lot, which we must declare in order to qualify for some different programs. No other comments? I declare the public hearing closed. Number 3, discussion and possible action on,
No.
where's
So
our
we'll need to take action.
I'm jumping. I'm sorry. Okay, do we have a motion to declare the Shopko lots with the parcels as presented? And I believe we have a motion that we want.
So the motion specifically is included within the memo. We are asking for the commission, based on the information that was presented in the packet, if you would like us to present verbally the information that was presented in the packet, between the environmental contamination, the loss of tax revenue, the shape and layout of all of the parcels, and limited site access to parcels if they were to continue as is, and the underutilization of the parking lot, and the reported police and emergency calls between January 1st of 2024 to now. We do believe that the parcels would meet the state statute definition of blighted properties. So we are asking for a motion to designate the parcels listed in the agenda item as blighted, in alignment with the definition of the section 66.1333 to MBM, and then to recommend approval of the attached blight resolution to the Common Council.
Gene?
I'll make that motion. Do you want me to repeat it?
Is there a second?
No.
Dave? Discussion. If not, the director will take the roll.
Chairperson Schleiss.
Aye.
Vice Chairperson Gardner.
Aye.
Commissioner Cooper.
Aye.
Commissioner Kemeter.
Aye.
Commissioner Laddick.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 3, discussion and possible action on an interest buy-down program with Central Wisconsin Economic Development Fund, the commercial revolving loan fund. This has been on our agenda a couple times, but there's some more discussion for us to do on this, I believe.
Sure. So I think everyone is aware, back in March, we had presented the concept of initiating a commercial loan program through the Redevelopment Authority to assist with rehabilitation projects specifically for I guess for businesses and for property owners, because of the inability of commercial property owners that don't operate a business out of that location to be eligible for funds to improve their buildings within the city. After that initial discussion, we were given the direction to evaluate an interest buy-down program, and if it seemed feasible with Central Wisconsin Economic Development Fund to establish such a program. Director Kivela and I did submit that request to the Central Wisconsin Economic Development Fund. Their executive and finance team evaluated our request and essentially did not take action, but did say if the city of Stevens Point would like to establish such a program, we will allow it. That the terms or negotiation for the buy-down rate would be between the city and the borrower, and CWED would not be involved in any of the transaction. So CWED would invite Director Kivela or myself into their discussions with the borrower to understand what their loan rates would be before their loan is approved, and for us to negotiate then with the borrower to buy down their interest rate if they were to apply for either a gap financing loan or for a microloan through the program. There have been some questions about how often the Central Wisconsin Economic Development Fund is utilized in the city of Stevens Point. We currently have 2 loans out for a grand total of about $500,000, but we are seeing an increased utilization of the Central Wisconsin Economic Development Fund this year because of the lowering of their interest rates in general. We are setting records, surpassing our previous records in 2019 in total number of loans issued and total number of dollars lent throughout the region. However, we haven't seen any of those loan applications specifically from the city of Stevens Point. We've had a few from the county, but not from the city itself. So included in your packet too were the, I suppose, terms that we had proposed based on your guidance that it would only be applicable, I guess a buy-down would only be applicable to gap financing loans and the microloan programs through CWED, and that the Redevelopment Authority could purchase up to 2% of their loan interest annually, up to $20,000 per year for the length of the loan, and that would be paid directly to the business, not to CWED. And then the payments would only last through the initial term of the loan. So sometimes they'll amortize a loan for a longer period of time, but set the loan length to 10 years, and the loan will be amortized over 20, and they'll renegotiate that loan. That the Redevelopment Authority's support would only last through that initial term instead of after any sort of extension. The reason we're bringing this up for discussion is that, as presented back in March as well, that based on our current utilization of our grant programs and our loan programs, that Comptroller Treasurer Laddick had noted that at our current rate we would exhaust the Redevelopment Authority funds in about 18 years. That doesn't take into consideration some of the loan interest we're now gaining off of our loan programs that we have active. But any lending that would have, or I guess any interest rate purchasing that this body would do would just help accelerate that depletion of funds, because we're not regaining any funds out of that program. So this body would need to be aware that may be the case, and so staff would recommend setting a maximum number of dollars allocated to this program, so as to not completely exhaust the funds and allow support for other redevelopment projects, especially things like Shopko. That being said, I think staff would be comfortable with setting a maximum of $100,000 for the entirety of the program, because it would take essentially about a year off of that timeline to depletion, and also give us some time to increase dollars in our lending programs and hopefully regain some of that lost dollars back.
I guess I will start that off. When I read the memo, I came up with several concerns on the amount that was listed in that memo. That $20,000 is $1 million loan. If that's amortized over 20 years, you're talking over $200,000, and that's providing there's no balloon payments and it's equal payments and all this other good thing. It could be even higher. We don't have a recurring revenue source that we can say, okay, we're bringing in $100,000 every year, guaranteed, we can cover this, no problem. The problem is that $200,000 becomes a liability as soon as we approve it. Unless we put a condition in there that says we'll guarantee or give you this 2% back, but we may not be able to pay it if we don't have any money. Well, that's not going to get too far. When the auditors go in there and review our books at the end of the year, they're going to say you have a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 liability on this one loan. They're going to set aside our assets to do that. I don't think that's what the commission had in mind when we talked about dealing with the smaller businesses. The guy that needs $100,000 loan or a $200,000 loan, we amortize it over 5 or 10 years at 2%. $100,000 loan is $10,000. That's a far cry from $200,000 to $300,000. So I think what we need to do is have something come back. It be more structured for the smaller businesses. Those are the ones that really need it. If you're going to go in for the $1 million loans, you really don't need our 2%. That just goes right in your pocket, or the stockholders or whatever. But that's my opinion, so I will turn it out to the commission at this point. Or if your consensus, we send it back and tell them to come back with something more within structure to help the smaller businesses. I mean, even if we went 3% over the 5-year period on amortization, but no more than 10. Dave?
I guess, let me back up a little bit here. In general, do we allow people to stack programs? Like they get money from TIF, they get money from this, they get money. Do we allow them to stack, first of all? Is that like, let's talk about city money only. Do we allow them to stack city money, generally speaking?
So you'd be mentioning like with a TIF program as well as a commercial loan program?
I don't think a loan so much. I think of more like
Multiple grants?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Sure.
A loan, to me, a loan is kind of in its own area, but.
Sure, and I mean, I guess from a city money standpoint, I don't know that we have so many overlapping programs
Okay.
that would be the case.
Okay.
Or even an option. I guess the example I was going to say is the commercial loan program, and I know we're kind of jumping to RDA, but, there's the commercial loan program and TIF, and those compare, but if we're thinking
Sure.
loans and everything are different.
Yeah,
But
I'm thinking
in
quote
terms of-
unquote free money, if you will.
In terms of free money, I don't think there's really many overlapping.
No, so I think the one point or one example that I can think of is between our Neighbor Helping Neighbor grant and our Housing Modernization Loan Program, where a resident who's between 60 and 80% AMI could pull out a Neighbor Helping Neighbor grant to help pay for a portion of their project, but is also taking out a loan to cover the project.
Right.
So that's the one, I would say, one time where that rule might not
Sure.
apply.
Sure.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
And yet, one is a loan, one is a grant, so.
Right.
In
Right.
your-
Again, I don't think loan. I think of loan as that's being, in theory, repaid. In theory, we're making money on it, or recapturing or whatever. So, okay. I was just wondering how that worked with free money, because I wouldn't want to see this be on top of other free money. Again, I used the word loosely, free loosely, but I guess, yeah, John's right. And it's $20,000 per deal, right? It's not $20,000 for the program for the year.
As it was discussed at the beginning of this, I guess, exploration, because this is not a program that CWED has ever seen a municipality tried to start before, we set the terms at $20,000 per year of interest to be acquired. Now, that's likely never going to happen for one of our loans, and again, it's up to 2%. So,
right. Right. Okay.
That was what was originally discussed. When we're open to reevaluating that.
And they would have to have a CWED loan, right? That's what we're buying
Yes.
down.
Yeah.
Do you know what typically? Man, this is a bad question probably, but do you know what typically CWED's average loan size is?
I could pull those numbers for you and give you that.
I'm just curious
more
what we're
directly.
even like,
I can't,
what
speak off the
ballpark
top
we're
of
in
my head.
here. But
Well, this year I think is a bit of a special case. It depends on which loan program you're operating out
Sure.
of, but some of the gap financing programs, the highest we've seen is about $1 million loan.
Okay.
Those are very rare.
okay,
So we'll see loans ranging from about 150 to 400,000 usually in the gap financing
Okay.
space, and then again those micro loans are only $75,000.
yeah, I figured that. Yeah, okay,
Which those are the ones that the smaller, like Main Street business or the smaller startup is likely to use.
right. Okay, thank you.
And I think Comptroller Laddick was going at the same angle that I am on that when he said our funds will be exhausted in 18 years. We tie them up with, and there's no saying there's not going to be $1 million loans, but I would think that, if you come back and restructure that to do 5 and 10-year amortization with, the smaller amounts, that would be a little bit more acceptable. We don't want to burn all our money up and
I guess, as Chris had mentioned too, if you set that cap of what we're starting with, that's kind of what we would work with, in the beginning. And obviously, if we hit that cap, we'd be coming back to this body and discussing further if, what has the money gone towards, what those deals look like, and is it, something that you'd want to see more money go into, or is this just a, again, are we just going to leave it at a pilot? Keep it simple.
Well, I would think if we can get updates occasionally, at least every other meeting on where we are and what we've loaned out and where we're at financially, we can, you could wind up with 10 loans in 1 month, so if we said, oh, now 100,000, that might blow that. But yeah, go back to the drawing board a little bit and bring it back. I'd
I do have
appreciate
one more
it.
question though. This maybe is Mrs. Battle too. What kind of interest rates is Seawed charging to begin with? I assume it's not market, but
No, it's below market. It's 3 to 5% on the gap financing and microloan programs.
okay.
So 2% would be a nice write-down for the small business.
And I guess, is it safe to say, so does this body feel as though the target would be those smaller businesses? Is that all kind of agreeable?
That's kind of what we
That's- I
said at
would
the last
think-
meeting, yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Perfect.
I don't think we,
You're right, because it's difficult for these businesses that don't own the building they're in, because you're lending on inventory and accounts receivable, and maybe they're getting 50 cents on a dollar for a loan for that, and then it's tough. It is.
all righty. I don't think we need to take action. I think the comments are fine on that. Moving right on, number 4, summary of development discussions and interest, Shopko redevelopment. Director, or Chris, whoever wants to handle that. You want to take it on?
So since we had announced a request for proposals for the south half of the Shopko parking lot, we had received about 7 inquiries from development firms from around the state and some out of northern Illinois regarding the Shopko site in total. Of those original 7 meetings, we've had further discussions with 4 firms, 3 of which will be submitting proposals for either the south half of the site in total or a portion of the southern half of the site. We've had a few discussions with firms that are also interested in development of the entire site, the entire 5 acres of the Shopko parking lot and building parcels, that if negotiations are to change with other firms, that they would be interested in submitting a proposal for the full site. So we do expect to see a proposal come through for an entire redevelopment of the Shopko site as well. The 3 of the firms that have informed us of interest in developing a larger project have also expressed interest in the Edgewater Manor site as well. So there is some opportunity for those firms to be redirected towards another site in the city. So we're continuing to, review some of those initial proposals and ask clarifying questions to the 3 firms that we expect to submit applications. We'll do an internal first review of the final submissions in mid-August, and then we'll be bringing that back to the body for further discussion on the proposals in total. But all of them incorporate some degree of housing appropriate for the downtown environment. Director, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think you covered it quite nicely.
Questions?
Have those companies been informed of the soil situation there, that they can't have basements, basically?
Yep, all firms have been informed of the site investigation report that we'd received from Stantec on the properties, so they're aware of the environmental contamination, they're aware of all of the projected site layouts. They're all very thoughtful companies, so we're excited to be working with them.
And now they'll know it's blighted.
Yeah, they will.
Why is it that we want to develop the south side first before the north side?
It's not necessarily that we'd like to develop the south side first before the north side, that we had started negotiations with a developer for the north half of the site. Prior, we'd been negotiating even before the decision to move forward with the Environmental Protection Agency's brownfield cleanup grant.
Okay.
And that firm was working on that parcel at that point in time. But we found it prudent to release an RFP for just the south half of the lot so we could move forward with a more comprehensive overhaul of the site.
Okay.
Other questions? All righty. With that, I will call the meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming, taking your time to visit with us and do your job.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.